So this agenda of this complete training covers introduction. So guys, just let me tell you, I have upgraded this course content to Golden Gate 21C now. So what you learn now is on Golden Gate 21C, which is the latest version of Oracle Golden Gate. So the agenda of this training include introduction to Oracle Golden Gate, architecture of Oracle Golden Gate, Oracle Golden Gate 21C new feature, Oracle Golden Gate upgradation from one version to another version. Then, so this is the new topic which we are going to introduce. The installation of Golden Gate, concepts and components related to Golden Gate. So this is the high level agenda which I am telling you. We are going to discuss much more than these. Concepts and components related to Golden Gate, how to perform DML replication using Golden Gate. So Golden Gate supports DDL as well as DML transactions. Okay, so Golden Gate, using Golden Gate, you can replicate, you can choose what you want to replicate, what you don't want to replicate. So Golden Gate supports DML replication as well. Along with that, DDL replication we'll be covering during later part of the training session. Then how to perform initial load using Golden Gate, how to perform data filtration and transformation. So one of the major advantage with Golden Gate is you can pick and choose what you want to replicate. Similarly, you can transform the data based on customer requirement on the target. So Golden Gate supports data filtration as well as data transformation in your environment. Okay, then bidirectional configuration, bidirectional auto CDR, which is the new feature. You will be able to learn DDL replication in Oracle Golden Gate. So DML means whenever you run any insert, update, delete. Similarly, DDL means data definition language. So any changes you make to the structure of object, that Golden Gate can also replicate. Now we discuss about troubleshooting, performance tuning we discuss. So how to monitor the lag in Golden Gate environment. How to troubleshoot Golden Gate issues. What is Golden Gate checkpoint? So there are certain terms which are common like Golden Gate checkpoint. There are two terms, checkpoint and data pump. These are the two common terms between Golden Gate and database, Oracle database. So what are the difference between the two? We'll be discussing. Then configuring Oracle Golden Gate security. So security is one of the major aspect which covers, like a tool can give you 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 benefits. See, Golden Gate is a product which works or which deals with data, right? Now, data is everything. Now, you might have heard few months back, Upstock was related to this data theft. So data security, like data is everything for an organization. So a tool can give you 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 benefits. But if it cannot guarantee the security because the data is sent over TCP/IP network, if it cannot guarantee security, it's of no use. No organization is going to use it. So security is one of the major aspects as well. So we'll be discussing during the training batch how to configure Golden Gate security. Then parameters and parameter files in Oracle Golden Gate. Again, these parameters are the heartbeat of Golden Gate. I always compare these parameter files of Golden Gate to control file of Oracle database. Like what control files are to database, same way parameter files are to Golden Gate process. So what are Golden Gate parameters? How do you configure? We'll be discussing about that. Then log dump utility to read the Golden Gate trail files. Performance tuning. Then new features like parallel replicate, heartbeat table, performance metric server. We'll be discussing. Golden Gate self-describing trail files. So we'll be discussing lot of things. Apart from this, we'll be discussing much more than this. So these are the high-level outlines which I have mentioned, but we'll be discussing a lot of things and much more than that. Okay. So let us start our session now. So day one session agenda. What does day one session agenda include? Introduction to Oracle Golden Gate, overview of Oracle Golden Gate, types of architectures available in Golden Gate, what is Oracle Golden Gate Veridata, types of extracts and replicates, Oracle Golden Gate 21C introduction we'll be doing, and then for the training, we'll need the virtual boxes and training guidelines. We'll be discussing about that as well. Okay. So guys, are we all ready? Yes, let us start. So first of all, let us discuss about Oracle database architecture. Now, one thing we have to understand is Golden Gate is a product which sits on top of the database, right? Golden Gate captures the data from the database. So the source for Golden Gate is database. Now the major part with Golden Gate is it supports homogeneous as well as heterogeneous databases. So heterogeneous means so it supports Oracle. Along with that, it supports non-Oracle databases like MySQL, DB2, SQL Server, Postgres, and many other databases it supports. Right now each database has its own transaction logs. So let us first of all understand how Golden Gate captures the data from Oracle database, and then we'll discuss about other databases as well. So Oracle database architecture. Sorry guys, my screen seems to have hung. Okay. So Oracle database architecture. So Oracle database is divided into two parts: instance and Oracle database. So instance again is divided into two parts: memory components and the background processes. So memory components include library cache, data dictionary cache, database buffer cache, Java pool, redo log buffer, and large pool, to name a few. Then background processes include pmon, smon, database writer, log writer, checkpoint, and others background processes are there. Now, Oracle database contains the actual file of the database. Or actual file means the data file where the actual data is stored. So say for example, you are inserting, updating, or deleting any data. Where does it actually get stored? It actually gets stored inside the data file. Then you have control files. Control files are the metadata. It stores the metadata information. It stores data about data. So these control files are the most important files of Oracle database. Then you have redo log files. So redo log file contains the changes made to the database. So whatever changes are done to the database, those changes gets recorded into your redo log. So whether those are DDL or DML transactions, those transactions gets logged into the redo log files. So say for example, you do any DML or DDL transaction, that DML or DDL transaction will get stored inside redo log file. Now, these redo log files are limited in size. So backup of redo log files is taken on disk. So the backup of redo log file when taken on disk, it is called as archive log files. So these archive log files consume your operating system memory disk. They basically consume your OS disk. So for Golden Gate, ultimate source. So what are archive log files? Archive log files are backup of redo log files. So once the backup of redo log files is taken on disk, they are called as archive log files. So for Golden Gate to capture the data, in case of Oracle database, the source for Oracle Golden Gate processes is redo log files or backup of redo log files, which are called as archive log files. So whatever transaction happens, those transactions get written into redo log files or backup of redo log files, which are called as archive log files. So Golden Gate captures the data from these redo log files. Okay, so the ultimate source is this redo log files or archive log files. So these redo log files or archive log files are called as the transaction logs of the database. These are called as the transaction logs of the database. So in case of Oracle, these transaction logs are called as redo logs or backup of redo logs, which are called as archive logs. However, in other databases like DB2 or MySQL or SQL Server, these are called as the transaction logs. So how does the data gets returned into these redo log files or backup of redo log files, which are archive log files? With help of these background processes. So suppose I'm not going to discuss this in detail, this Oracle database architecture. I'm only discussing what is required related to Golden Gate, because if I go on discussing this Oracle database architecture, we might need 6 to 7 hours because it is so vast. So I'm only discussing what is needed related to Oracle Golden Gate. So now, how does data gets written into these redo log files or archive log files? So what happens is, suppose you executed the command like select update department table, set location equal to XYZ, where account number equal to 10. So what happens is that change, what you do, that change will get returned into the database buffer cache. Now from database buffer cache, it will be returned to redo. The copy of that change will get returned to redo log buffer, whatever. So it is called as the dirty buffer basically. So whenever you make any change to the existing data, it becomes dirty buffer. So that dirty buffer gets returned. It is called as a dirty buffer. Dirty buffer means changed buffer. So the copy of that gets returned into redo log buffer. Now, with help of database writer process, that change data once committed gets returned to the data file. However, before database writer process writes the data from database buffer cache to data file, the data gets returned to redo log buffer. Data gets returned from redo log file. Sorry, data gets returned to redo log file from redo log buffer with help of log writer process. So how does redo log file gets the changes? Redo log file gets the changes from these redo log buffer with help of the log writer process. So log writer process writes the data from redo log buffer to redo log file with help of log writer process. So when does log writer process writes the data from redo log buffer to redo log file? Under these 5 conditions. Either when commit happens, or when 1/3 of redo is full, or when 1 MB of redo has been returned to redo log buffer, or every 3 seconds. But before database writer process writes. So before database writer process writes the data to the data file, prior to that, data gets returned to redo log files with help of log writer process. So whatever changes, so if you have to understand one thing, the changes, whatever are written in these files, Golden Gate will capture those changes. So whatever changes happens to the transaction logs, Golden Gate captures only those transactions which are part of the redo log file. So redo log files contains all the changes, whatever is being made to the database. Now remember one thing, redo log files or transaction logs of the database, I should say, they contains committed as well as uncommitted transaction. I again repeat, there is a misconception among people that these transaction logs contains only committed transaction. That's not true. The transaction logs contain committed as well as uncommitted transaction. So these transaction logs contains committed as well as uncommitted transaction. However, you will understand when we discuss the architecture, Golden Gate covers only, or Golden Gate captures only committed transaction. But we'll be discussing about that later. So just for your information, you just have to keep in mind the source of the Golden Gate is these transaction logs, which is redo log files or backup of redo log files, which are called as the archive log files. Okay. So Golden Gate is a change data capture tool. So first of all, now let us understand what is Golden Gate. So Golden Gate is CDC tool. You must have heard this. CDC tool. What does CDC stands for? CDC stands for change data capture. So what does change data capture stands for? So change data capture means whatever changes are being made to the source database, those changes will be captured by the extract process. Those changes will be captured by the extract process. Once those changes are captured by the extract process, they will be applied to the target database. Okay, so Golden Gate, just to give you a brief overview, Golden Gate was founded in 1995. It was named after famous San Francisco Bridge. Then Oracle overtook it, and since then it is known as Oracle Golden Gate. Oracle overtook it in 2009. Okay, so since then it is now known as Oracle Golden Gate. So Golden Gate is a CDC tool which captures the changes, whatever changes are happening to the database, those changes are captured by the Oracle Golden Gate processor, and then they gets applied on the target database. So now Golden Gate has, like, there are a lot of recovery solution, like data replication tools available in the market. You might have heard some of them, like EMC Recover Point. IBM has its own product. Hitachi True Copy is there. HP Continuous Access is there. Symantec Veritas, DataCore. Now you also must have heard about Attunity as well. Attunity is there, which is a competitor of Golden Gate. So why Golden Gate is still most hottest technology? Like, why still Golden Gate is widely used? Why we don't see these tools which are also there? So there are some technical reasons related to it. Along with that, there are financial reasons as well. So first of all, discuss about technical reasons. Why Golden Gate? With Golden Gate, data is sent in real time with sub-second latency. Data is sent in real time with sub-second latency. That means that once the data gets committed on source, it gets applied on target database with minimum lag. It supports heterogeneous environments across different databases and hardware types. So most of the products have limited support for database apart from Oracle, and they have limited support, like cross-platform support they don't have, or they have very limited platform support as well. But with Golden Gate, it supports heterogeneous environments across different type and different platforms. It delivers high performance with low impact. So one thing I want to tell you is, whether you go to Oracle or anyone, they will tell you that Golden Gate is no impact product. But I always clear one thing is, see, Golden Gate is a product which is not integrated inside the database. Golden Gate is a product which is integrated on top of the database. So any product which is working on top of the database, or which you are adding extra, you cannot expect it to have zero impact. Yes, you can expect it to have minimal impact, like 0.1 or 0.01%. But I always say Golden Gate is a product which delivers high performance, which negates the impact it puts on the database. So the impact which it puts on the database is very minimal. It has ability to move large volume of data efficiently. So Golden Gate can move your blob clops as well very efficiently. It can move your large objects as well. And there is no single point of failure. That means that troubleshooting Golden Gate becomes very easy. So these are the technical reasons. So the reason is, like, data with Golden Gate, data is sent in real time with sub-second latency. Now there are some financial reasons associated to it. I'll tell you about the financial reason. You must have heard about, in nowadays, whatever job openings or job requirement comes, Golden Gate is mandatory. Why? The reason being, lot of organizations, what they have started doing is they started signing the EULA with Oracle. EULA means end user license agreement for a year. So during EULA, they are free to use Golden Gate on any number of servers or databases. So using that, they are utilizing Golden Gate. And that is the reason they want more and more Golden Gate administrators. Okay, so Golden Gate is best in class leader in real-time data solution. It complements existing Oracle products as well. So Golden Gate ensures that your databases are continuously available. It supports real-time data access for reporting. So you can use your target database, which is getting replicated using Golden Gate, for reporting purpose. It provides real-time data for business intelligence, EPM and Exa data. It supports zero downtime upgradation and migration to Oracle database and application. So this is one of the major feature of Golden Gate. Like suppose you have to upgrade your database, which is in terabytes. So do you understand if you don't follow zero downtime upgrade migration strategy, it might take days to upgrade the database, right? So for that purpose, you can use Golden Gate to perform the upgradation with zero downtime. Okay, so Golden Gate is being used by top banks, top ATM networks, financial data services, telecommunication providers, and largest food and drug stores as well. So Oracle Golden Gate solutions include high availability. High availability means your databases are highly available. It supports zero downtime upgradation and migration as we discussed. Then it is used for live reporting as well. So what you can do is to reduce the load on primary database. What happens is you can switch your load to the secondary database running the day-to-day query, and so whatever reporting jobs are needed to be done, you can offload it to secondary server, which is getting replicated using Golden Gate. And Golden Gate, along with business Informatica or ODI, is one of the best business intelligence tool available in the market. So you can use Golden Gate for business intelligence purpose as well. Okay. So Golden Gate supports capture and delivery to multiple databases, and it also supports like different platforms and operating system as well. So these are the few to name. Like Golden Gate supports much more than that. So it supports Oracle, DB2, Nscribe, Sybase, Ingress database, Teradata. It supports multiple platforms like Windows, Linux, Sun Solaris, HP, IBM. It supports. Okay. Any questions so far from anyone? Guys, if you have any question, you can now unmute yourself, or you can always type in the chat window if you have any question. So this was the introduction, just the introduction. Next, we'll discuss about different types of architecture. Yeah.
Ashish, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So I just I know there is a session difference between Golden Gate and Data Guard, but can you just give a summary of that? Difference between Golden Gate and
Data Guard?
Yeah.
We did a webinar last Saturday. You might have gone through it. So just to give you a brief overview, Golden Gate is a object level replication tool. However, Data Guard is your database level replication tool. So you can pick and choose in Golden Gate what you want to replicate, and you can, with Data Guard, you replicate everything. So basically, I also discuss in that session as well, right? You can compare apple to apple, but you cannot compare apple with oranges. So this is the major difference. So you can go through the webinar. Harish can ping you the link of that webinar. You can go through it and you should be fine with that.
Sure.
Okay, so Sarat, same question you are asking, what is the advantage of Golden Gate over Data Guard is? With Golden Gate, your database is in read-write mode. With Data Guard, it's in read-only mode, that too in active Data Guard. Now, can you give example for business intelligence with respect to Golden Gate? Yes, you will understand a lot of things as the session goes on, Shri. So you will have that idea, understanding when we discuss about Golden Gate along with Informatica part is. So you'll understand that. Okay.
Ashish, one question.
Yeah.
What is the difference between unidirectional Golden Gate and logical standby in case, I mean, on the point of just data replication, like, because both are using the LSP, like log miner process.
So we'll be discussing about that. Let us move forward. These questions will be answered for you. A lot of questions will be answered for you as the session goes on.
Okay, sure.
We haven't come to that point. So guys, we have just completed the overview of or introduction to Oracle Golden Gate, but lot of questions will be answered to you when we move forward. Okay, so any question related to introduction or overview what we discussed so far? Okay, so let us now move forward and discuss about architecture, different types of architecture available in Oracle Golden Gate. So Oracle Golden Gate, there are two types of architecture. So when the session started, we discussed about this is classic architecture. So what is classic architecture? What exactly we mean by classic architecture? So here's the answer for you. So as I mentioned to you, Golden Gate was acquired by Oracle in 2009. From 2009 to 2017, there was only one way to configure Golden Gate. That was through command prompt GGSCA. So until 2017, it was called as Oracle Golden Gate. Okay. Now from 2017 onwards, Oracle launched a new architecture of Golden Gate, which is called as microservices architecture. So this existing GGSCI based architecture was renamed to Oracle Golden Gate Classic Architecture. And there was a new architecture which was introduced, which is called as microservices architecture. So microservices architecture allows you to set up, manage, troubleshoot, configure Golden Gate through GUI as well. However, classic architecture allows you to set up, manage, troubleshoot, configure Golden Gate through command prompt only. So that's the major difference. So classic architecture is the one which is available since beginning of Oracle Golden Gate. Okay. So classic architecture is command prompt based, GGSCI based architecture. Now, classic architecture is available for both Oracle as well as non-Oracle databases. Now, 21C is the last version where new feature has been introduced for Classic. Post 21C, Classic architecture has been deprecated. So no new feature will be introduced going forward for Classic architecture. Oracle Golden Gate microservices architecture is available from Golden Gate version 12.3 onwards. It allows you to set up, manage, troubleshoot, configure Golden Gate through GUI. It allows for better integration with cloud applications. Like it's easier to manage in microservices. What happens is things runs as a service. You must have heard like a lot of technologies like ServiceNow has it has upgraded itself to microservices architecture as well, right? So a lot of changes are there in the microservices with introduction of microservices with changing times. Oracle has introduced this microservices architecture as well. So microservices is future of Oracle Golden Gate. Now, microservices architecture until Golden Gate 19C was available only for Oracle database. Now from 21C onwards, microservices architecture support has been extended for 5 databases, which includes MySQL, DB2, SQL Server, and Postgres databases. So these are the 4 databases along with Oracle for which microservices is supported now. Until 19C, it was only Oracle database which it used to support, microservices used to support. Okay, so from 12.3 to 21C, both classic as well as microservices architecture coexist. So you can choose any of the two and from 12.3 to 21C. However, if you are prior to 12.3 Golden Gate, it was only classic architecture. And after 21C, you will have only microservices architecture. Okay. Now, you have got two types of architecture, classic and microservices. Now, there is a regular question
beyond
which
20.
I receive from
Sorry,
everyone
Ashish.
is, there is a question which I receive from everyone is, which is the most, like, what type of architecture organizations generally use. So if you still go out into the market, around 80% of implementation, or I should say 75 to 80% of implementations are still using classic architecture. Microservices is being used by around 15 to 18% or 20% organizations. But yes, this is future of Golden Gate, and Oracle is pushing its customers to use microservices architecture now. So microservices architecture, so by end of 2024, the vision is to upgrade almost 40 to 50% of implementations to microservices architecture. Okay, now there is another product in Golden Gate family which is called as Oracle Golden Gate Veridata. So Oracle Golden Gate family includes three things: classic architecture, microservices, and Veridata. So the product name is Oracle Golden Gate Veridata. Remember, it is a separately licensed product. What does Veridata do? So Veridata, as the name suggests, it verifies the data for you. So Veridata is used to find the data discrepancies between two objects, and it can repair those discrepancies as well for you. So say, for example, on source, you have 10,000 records in a table. On target, you have 9,000 records in a table. So what Veridata can do for you is, it can identify the discrepant records for you, and it can repair those discrepancies as well for you. So Veridata is nowadays getting very popular, as I mentioned, due to this cloud migration. So organizations want to confirm whether their data is in sync or not upon migration. So that's why Veridata is getting very popular, to identify whether the data is in sync or not between the source and target database. Now, if the data is not in sync, you can use a repair button to fix those data discrepancies as well. Okay. Okay. So now there is a question. So Oracle Golden Gate Veridata family includes three things: classic, microservices, and Veridata. So classic, microservices, and Veridata. So if you go out related to any job interview, related to any job support related to Oracle Golden Gate, any question in Golden Gate will come from these three only. None of the question will come out of these. So all the question will come from either classic and or microservices and or Veridata. Any Golden Gate question will come, it will come from either of these three only. Okay. Okay. So now there is a question which I want to ask from you. Does the introduction of microservices mean integrated no longer exists? How many of you have that question? With the introduction of microservices, integrated no longer exists. I would be glad if I receive nothing related to it. Because I have covered this lot many times. So I again repeat my question. How many of you think, guys, there is no harm if you have that understanding? Please tell me. There is no harm. Okay. So my question is, how many of you think that with the introduction of microservices, integrated no longer exists? You must have heard the term integrated as well, right?
I think it will still be existent because the classic architecture, say command line, I think it will still be existent.
No, so you didn't get my question, Gene. I again read. With the introduction of microservices, does integrated no longer exist?
Ashish, it will exist because it's a type of data replication, like from source to target.
Okay.
Integrated will still exist with microservices as well.
Why?
Because it's simply a type, like we have classic and integrated replication, like from source to target.
So what is integrated?
We have integrated source and integrated replicate, right?
Okay.
In microservices, it will only be through GUI, and in classic architecture, we have to use the command prompt like DGSCI.
Okay. Anyone else? Shri, you are kind of very much near, but not the exact answer what I'm looking for. But yes, you are very much near. Anyone else?
I think it gives more control. The integrated one will still give us more control compared to,
Compared to?
the microservices architecture.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else?
And the GGSI is directly synchronized with the database.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I think it'll have all the features of classic, but microservices, the only advantage is that it is graphical user interface. So it'll have the
this
integrated
is not my
as
question.
well.
My question is not like, again, I repeat my question. My question is not that with introduction of I'm not asking the difference between classic and microservices. My question is, with introduction of microservices, integrated no longer exists. Is that the case? Okay. I'll answer, guys. No problem. I'm happy you guys answered it. And some of you were very near to it. So I'll answer in the next slide.
Is it just like
Okay.
that? What are things in the Golden Gate limitations, classic architecture, that it has been carried out in the microservices is closely integrated in the new features?
Yeah, so I'm coming to that as well. So now what we are talking about here is microservices and classic architecture are there. Now then in Golden Gate, there are different types of extracts and replicates. So integrated is type of extract and or replicate. So under classic architecture or microservices architecture, you have got different types of extracts and different types of replicates. So there are two types of extracts. One is integrated extract and second is classic extract. Now guys, remember one thing, the issue with the Oracle, I should say, is what they did is they renamed by classic, they mean the existing or traditional architecture. Same way, when Golden Gate was introduced, there was only one type of extract and it was called as Oracle Golden Gate extract. Now from Golden Gate version 11 to 04, they launched a new extract which is called as integrated extract. So they renamed the existing extract to the classic extract. So classic term means nothing but traditional, like the one which is there since beginning. So integrated extract was launched in Golden Gate version 11 to 04 Golden Gate and database version 11 to 03. There are four types of replicate: non-integrated or classic replicate. Integrated replicate was introduced in Golden Gate version 12.1. Coordinated replicate was introduced in Golden Gate version 12.2. Then parallel replicate is the latest variant of replicate, which has been introduced in Golden Gate version 12.3. So parallel replicate is again of two types: parallel non-integrated and parallel integrated replicate. So guys, for those who are not aware about what is extract, what is replicate, you will be able to understand in the next slide. But this is to answer what are different types of extracts and replicates. So these are the different types of extracts and replicates available. So there are two types of extracts, integrated and classic. And then there are four types of replicates: classic replicate or non-integrated replicate, integrated replicate, which was introduced from Golden Gate version 12.1. Then coordinated replicate, which was introduced in Golden Gate 12.2. And parallel replicate, which was introduced in Golden Gate version 12.3. So under classic architecture, you have got different types of extracts available. You can create either classic extract or integrated extract. Similarly, you can create any type of replicate. In the same way, microservices, under microservices architecture, you can create either classic or integrated extract or any type of replicate. So the answer to the question is, with introduction of microservices, does integrated no longer exist? The answer is integrated is type of extract. However, microservices is type of architecture. Under microservices architecture, you can define different types of extracts and replicate. Under classic architecture, you can define different types of extracts and replicate, where integrated extract or integrated replicate is one of the type. Okay. Okay. So this is about different types of extracts and replicates in Oracle Golden Gate environment. So these are the different types of extracts and replicates which you can configure in any of the Golden Gate environment you have. Okay, now just to give you a brief overview, what is extract and what is replicate is, extract process helps in extracting the data from source database, and replicate process helps in applying the data to the target database. We'll be discussing about this architecture, Golden Gate architecture, and what is Golden Gate extract and what is Golden Gate replicate. We'll be discussing about that as well, about the architecture in the next session. Okay, any question related to this? Different types of Golden Gate architecture and what are different types of extracts and replicates? So Graham has said, yes, it will exist. When I asked the question, does integrated no longer exist? So yeah, you were correct.
Ashish, like, what is the difference between classic and integrated extract?
We'll be discussing about that when we discuss the architecture of Oracle Golden Gate.
And also, like, if you have to migrate from classic to classic architecture to microservices architecture, so is that directly or is there a different process for that?
There is a different process. Basically, we again will be discussing about that during the session itself.
Okay.
Okay. So guys, for the training, we are going to use these virtual boxes as well. Just 1 minute. How do I come out of it? Okay. So these are the virtual boxes which you have received with the training if you have enrolled for the course. So you will be receiving these virtual boxes. Okay. So
Ashish, I have not received any mail from your side. I've given a you told
this,
to give a...
guys, let me complete. As I told you, like when I'm speaking, I expect, like, if you have any question during the session, you can type in the chat window. Otherwise, I'll give you a chance to ask all the questions. Okay. Okay. So you will get these virtual boxes. Okay. Now these virtual boxes we'll be using during the training. The virtual boxes names are GGate 1 and GGate 2. Okay. So with the training, you will be receiving an email with the subject like lab setup kit with 19C database and Golden Gate 21C. So you will get two machines. One is GGate 1, another one is GGate 2. So once you open your GGate 1, you need to download this GGate OVA, which is around 10. Once you download, then you need to, there is one software as well in Oracle Virtual Machine is there. This VirtualBox 7.0.0.6. You can also download it from latest version from virtualbox.org. So you can download it. Once you install it, what will happen is it will come on your screen. What you have to do is you have to click on file. You have to then click on import appliance. Okay. Once you click on import appliance, select the file which you have to import. Okay. Go to the location where it is downloaded and then select your file. So like there are two machines, Gate 1 and Gate 2, which you will be downloading. So say for example, you select Gate 1. Okay, click on next. Now next part is really very important here. Now by default, this MAC address policy, okay, this is also mentioned in this email as well. So please note Gate 1 and Gate 2 are two machines. While importing the appliances, choose option import all MAC address. Okay, so you need to choose that option. So by default, it chooses like there is an option include only NAT network adapter MAC address. You need to go to the drop down and select this option. Once you do that, finish, your Gate 1 will be imported. In the same way, you can import your Gate 2 as well. Okay, so once it is imported everything, you can right click and click on run, or start will come. Once you start, so the password of these virtual boxes, Oracle user is Oracle and root user is root on the virtual box. There is a document available. You can go through that document as well. Okay, now after that, once you log in over here, you can right click and open the terminal. So these virtual boxes already have database. They already, so Gate 1 already have database, container database. So we are going to use multi-tenant architecture with this training. So multi-tenant architecture means container pluggable. So on Gate 1, we have got container database name as OGGDB1. Pluggable database name is PDB1. Okay. Similarly, on Gate 2, we have got under that we'll have schemas, etc. So once you go through it, so on the virtual, so Golden Gate softwares are present on the machine, but they are not downloaded. The location of software is /home/Oracle/softwares. Here you can find your classic architecture binaries 21C, microservices architecture 21C binaries. Then I also have kept 19C binaries for your, like we'll be doing some practical to show you. So 19C binaries are also there. Then Veridata 12.2.1.4 and 12.2.1.2 binaries are also there in the same location. Okay, so you can find all the binaries over /home/Oracle/softwares on both Gate 1 as well as Gate 2. Now your database is already installed on these virtual boxes. So to open the virtual boxes, what you need to do is do SQL plus. So first start the listener. When they are new, start the listener. Okay, exit. Then start the databases. So you can do startup. It will start your container database, and then you can do alter pluggable database PDB1 open read write. So you don't have to create the database. Databases are already created. You only have to, once we do in the next session, probably we'll be discussing about downloading and installation of Golden Gate. Then you will be doing installation of Golden Gate. So you see, database is open. So now your pluggable database is also altered. So do select name from $database. So you see the container database name is OGGDB1. Then if you want to check the PDB, it is PDB1. In the same way, for Gate 2, we can now check the Gate 2. So guys, whenever this clock is shown on your screen. So when you move mouse, it won't work. Just press enter by clicking anywhere. So press enter on your keyboard and you will get this. So the password of Oracle user is Oracle. So this is Gate2. Okay. So you can also check the IP address of these. So to check the IP address, that is another thing. Go to do ifconfig. So the IP address of Gate1 will be this 192.168.56.50. This is Gate1 IP. Similarly, the IP address of Gate2 would be 51, ending in 51. See, this is 192.168.56.51. So you can try to ping Gate1 from Gate2. It should be pingable. Yeah. Similarly, you can try to ping Gate2 from Gate1. It should be pingable as well. Yeah. So your machines are set. After that, you can go ahead and start the databases. So do SQL plus / as first. Let us start the listener. Start, exit, SQL plus / as sysdba. You can do startup and do alter pluggable database pdb2 open read write. So challenge for day one is, the task basically for day one is importing these virtual boxes on your machine and getting them ready with the database. That's your first day challenge. Not much task. Only task is to download them and setting up like this what I showed you just now. So the requirement for these virtual box is you need to have around 12 to 16 GB of hard disk space available on your machine. And also you need to have 200 to 250 GB of hard disk space. Okay. Now there is a question from Saket. Is it necessary to have prior knowledge of DataGuard to understand GG more clearly? No. Guys, as I mentioned, your DataGuard and Gold, you can compare apple to apple, but you cannot say apple, you cannot compare apple to orange. Same thing apply to Golden Gate and DataGuard. If Golden Gate is orange and DataGuard is apple, so they are completely two different products which are used completely different. Okay, so those are completely different things. You don't need to have, you only need to have basic knowledge to learn GG. You only need to have basic knowledge how to create users, what is DML transactions. Guys, please be on mute if you're not speaking. Okay, so the only requirement is you need to have only basic knowledge of database, like how to create users, how to insert the data. Just a second. How to insert the data, how to commit, how to create user. That is the knowledge which is required. Along with that, basic Linux command are expected to be known. Okay. Now there is a question as well. I have already installed Oracle VirtualBox 6.0.22 with so many VMs running. Can I use same VirtualBox? If you can try to import. If it works, then it's good. Yeah, you should be able to, but I'm using the latest one, 7.0.6. So just check if it works. If it works, then it's okay. Okay. You are gonna teach MSA as well. Is there training on that? So this training batch, what we are conducting is Classic. Once Classic is done, we'll be discussing about microservices. So this batch right now for next 20 to 23 hours, it will be Classic, which we'll be discussing. But after that, yes, there will be microservices as well, which we'll be discussing. Okay. Can you show network configuration settings? You just have to, what I told you, Shujan, you just have to follow that. I believe you might have exported without importing the all network MAC address. Do ifconfig and see what IP address you are getting. That should be fine. Can we connect this machine from Putty also? Of course, you can. you can always connect. Okay. Slides be shared? No, slides are like copyrighted, they won't be shared. In the VirtualBox, what if you don't import? Can you click on add to add the new machine? Yes, you can add the new machine, but you will have to create, right? These VirtualBoxes, what I have provided with the training, which you will be getting with the training, these VirtualBoxes are already pre-cooked VirtualBoxes. You don't have to do. OS is there, database is already there. So the whole purpose of this training is to learn Golden Gate, right? Yeah, of course, if you want to get your hands dirty on how to create VirtualBox, then you can add the new machine, etc. But if you want, the motive of this training is to learn Golden Gate, and to learn Golden Gate, you have database, you have OS, everything. Okay. Do you have to have knowledge of other database except? No, nothing. You don't need to have. So to learn Golden Gate, as I mentioned, you need only basics, nothing else you need. Okay. Okay. So I'll quickly discuss. I'll be taking more questions, guys, but for those who want to drop off. So if I have to discuss about day 2 session, so day 2 session of Oracle Golden Gate training will come on next week. So the today is day 1 session. So day 2 session is next week, Monday, 12th of June, 9:30 to 10:30 p.m. Eastern timing, 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Central timing, and 6:30 to 7:30 Pacific timing. And for Indian students, it is Tuesday, 13th of June, 7 to 8 a.m. IST. And if you are in UK, the timing would be, please check timing accordingly. I believe it is 1:30 to 2:30 or 2:30 to 3:30 a.m. Right? So this session is conducted Monday to Thursday as per US EST, CST, PST timing. And as per Indian timing, it is conducted from Tuesday to Friday. So next session will be on Monday as per US timing, and as per Indian timing, it will be on Tuesday. So what we are going to discuss in the next session? In the next session, we are going to discuss about Golden Gate architecture, how data flow. Then we'll discuss about Golden Gate certification matrix. Then we'll download Golden Gate binaries. Then we'll install Oracle Golden Gate. And if time permits, we'll also discuss about under how to decide, where to decide, like can we do remote installation of Golden Gate, or what is local installation, remote installation. We'll discuss all about that as well. So what is the step? What is the challenge you're getting with day 1 is create the VMs, as I discussed with you. So next session will be next week, and the link to join will be updated before the session for you. If I have to quickly recap what we discussed in today's session is, in day 1 session of Oracle Golden Gate Classic Architecture training, we discussed about introduction to Golden Gate architecture. In 2009, Oracle overtook Golden Gate, and since then it is known as Oracle Golden Gate. There are 2 types of architecture, classic and microservices architecture. Then we also discussed about Veridata. Okay. Then why Golden Gate? Golden Gate is near real-time replication support, which supports heterogeneous environments. There are 2 types of extract process, classic and integrated. Similarly, there are different types of replicate, which are non-integrated, integrated, coordinated, parallel replicate, parallel integrated, and parallel non-integrated replicate. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, tell me.
Are you gonna share this document with us?
Sorry?
Are you gonna share the document with us?
Yeah, so you will be getting the recaps with so all the enrolled students, you'll be getting the recap, and you'll be getting the next session details, everything you'll be getting. Yes, step-by-step activity guides, all the things you'll be getting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there is a question, does GG requires license? Yes, Golden Gate is a separate license product. It's a license product.
Okay, is it one license for GGSTI and the microservice and Veriditas? One license for all of them?
Okay, so Veridata is a separate license product. With Golden Gate Classic and microservices, as per my discussion with Oracle, you can buy a Golden Gate license and then you can choose whatever you want to. So for microservices and Classic, it's one license. But again, the license question I always pass on to Oracle because it's a product of Oracle and it's a financial thing which the Oracle deals with. But as per my discussion and learning from Oracle, for microservices or classic, you don't need separate license. One license is there for both, and you can choose which one you want to use.
Okay.
Okay.
So Ashish, if we collect the license of Golden Gate, so for Veridata, microservices, and a classic architecture, for the same, we can use the same license, right?
So as I mentioned, my Veridata is a separately licensed product.
Okay.
Veridata license is completely separate than Golden Gate. Any other question from anyone? So guys, what I want is please complete the lab setup for the next session. Of course, you would have received it if you are enrolled. If you're not received, if you're not enrolled, then you will receive it once you complete your enrollment. Okay. And guys, let us make best use of this training. Like whatever tasks are there, let us complete those tasks. And as I mentioned to you, you will be getting you will have very good knowledge and everything with the course.
Ashish, one quick question. In case we miss any session, like the recordings will be available for us?
Yes, you will get the recordings with the course. So all the recordings are shared. So
Okay,
guys, also with the course, what we have introduced this time around is like we are also launching the app as well. So all the recordings and everything will be available in the app. So on the WhatsApp group, please ask if you have not received how to install the lab, how to install the app, and there you will receive all the details and everything. So if you have not received any email for VirtualBox details, you can ask either Harish from Learnomate or either me. Over the group, you can ask. Okay?